business is your business. It's all up in my lady business with me, Mary Nisi. Here we are once again back in the all up in my lady business pile. We're here today with Jess Schultz, and I'm super excited to have her here today. Jess is the founder and CEO of the Amplify Group, a boutique agency that specializes in supporting business-to-business startups with GTM and RevOps. We're going to get into whatever that means later on. And she started her career in capital markets, transitioned to SaaS sales, and then was a venture capitalist prior to starting Amplify. She grew up in Florida and says not to judge her for that. She's a singer, lover of wine, boxing, and yoga. And she is a hype woman who particularly loves supporting other women. Jess, welcome to All Up in My Lady Business, the pile.
Thank you. The pile. Glad to be here.
Yes. And though she has recently been in Chicago, she has presently nomading it in the greater Miami area.
Mm-hmm.
Which is we're in the midst of a blizzard here in Chicago. So you have done the right thing.
I'm feeling good about it.
Yeah. Are you in Miami proper?
Yeah, in Brickell, if you're familiar. So it's like
I'm only familiar with South Beach.
Okay. So it's not that. It's kind of like the river north of Miami.
Cool. Excellent.
Yeah.
So at least you're in the good part of it.
Yeah.
Access to hot tacos. So let's get into it, Jess. What brings you to All Up in My Lady Business? What is GTM and RevOps?
GTM is go to market. So all things sales, marketing, customer success. So all things that make money. And then RevOps is revenue operations. So kind of the backbone of all the things that make money.
God, maybe I need you. So how did you get to this point? Because that feels like very like high powered, like hard to do, putting yourself in a lot of situations that, like, I don't know. I feel like working with startups and stuff, there's always like this sort of like energy around it. But like, I've never been I guess my own was a startup. Is every business that starts a startup at some point?
I think every business feels like a startup at the beginning.
Sometimes it continues to feel like a startup for 10, 15 years.
Yeah.
I definitely have some friends who have, or not friends, but I've known some people who've had businesses that seem like they are in startup mode for all the times. So where are you? Are you from Chicago? No, you're from Florida.
No, yeah, from Florida originally. But I started my career in banking and I moved to Chicago originally to work for Merrill Lynch. So that was 12-ish years ago.
Like you started your career, so like right out of college, you were like in banking?
Yeah, finance major, went straight into it. My first job was actually Deutsche Bank in London. And then after that, I went to Merrill in Chicago. And I worked for Merrill there and New York City, actually.
And then, so how long were you, like, so you worked in Merrill Lynch. That sounds like a very boys club sort of place.
Yes,
is that accurate?
You called it. Do you watch the show Billions, or have you?
I have not, but I've seen. I mean, I'm familiar with the concept of the show.
Okay, so I tell people that was really what it was like to work there.
Ew.
And funny side fact, but the global head of prime brokerage for Merrill when I worked there, he and I left because it was such a boys club, and we could dig into that if we want to.
We should.
But funny story before we do. So the global head of prime brokerage was at Merrill. So I quit because I was over it, and I'm like 2 years down the road after quitting, watching the season opener of Billions on my couch, and the first scene has what looks to be my old global head of prime brokerage, and I'm like, but what would he be doing on the Billions show? Like, isn't he running things at Merrill Lynch? But I was like, but that really looks like him. So I Google it, and the first article that pops up is a Bloomberg article that's like, I won't say his name, but blah, 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 released from Merrill Lynch for sexual harassment and et cetera, resurfaces on season premiere of Billions. And I'm like, I mean, You can't make this up.
Wait, so he was fired for sexual harassment at Merrill Lynch and then became an actor who's then playing himself?
Basically, yes.
Is he
I
an
mean, he
actor?
was only like an extra. He wasn't really like a
Oh,
major role, but still, it was just like, are you freaking serious? Because I used to always say to people, yeah, I left because it was like a Billions episode. And I'm like, here it is playing out in real life.
yeah. Yeah, that it's one of these things where it's like a too on the nose, like
Yeah,
where you're like, wow, so you knew you were awful and you're just playing into your strengths.
I guess. Yeah.
So after you left,
Bizarre.
so like, why did you decide to be a finance major?
Um, so I was raised by two accountants
Mm.
and I'm good at finance and math. And I think I just thought that was like a practical path to go. I really wish, I wonder if it's gotten any better, but I feel like they didn't do a great job in college of like career counseling. Like I think a lot of us we're just like, I don't know, sounds right. Like there's just so many careers I didn't even know existed until I was already having one. But yeah, I think it just like kind of was like, oh, I guess if you're good at math, you major in finance, and I guess if you're a finance major, you work at a bank. Like it just, I didn't know any better.
Yeah. I mean, I have a degree in art history, and it's not like I have any regrets around it because, I had a really fun intellectual, endeavor when I was in college, and it taught me how to think critically and taught me. I mean, I don't think it was useless to go to school for that because I feel like, in college you're, you know, talking in class and debating things and you're learning how to figure things out, but there is no career counseling around that position. I mean, it feels like
Mm-mm.
with finance, you'd be like, like today we're going to have a guy from, Price Waterhouse Cooper to come in and like, talk to you about,
Present something.
yeah, like, or at least put them in front of you as like, these are the kinds of people you can work with. Like, it almost makes me feel more confident, like better that I didn't have any career counseling if you didn't either.
No,
Um,
not at all.
and so after you graduated, you worked at Merrill Lynch, and how long were you there?
I was there for about 6 years, but like banking as a whole, I think it was about 8, like between the different spots. But
And so then after that, you went into venture capital after that? Or how did that part
not right
happen?
away. Yeah, so I was working in banking. I mean, there was a lot of things I liked, and I'm glad I did it because there's a lot of foundational knowledge I have as a result. But I feel like it was like literally killing me. Like I was quite literally hospitalized at one point, and they were like, "There's nothing wrong with you. You're just stressed." And I was like, "Okay, well, this is not good. I'm 30." And so I was like, "Something's got to give." But then at that point, I was like, well, now I have 8 years in this career. I have these series licenses. Like, what do you do? So my first, I guess, pivot, because I feel like usually pivots have like, I think sometimes you have to like sidestep to completely pivot. But so I guess the first part of my pivot was a sidestep. So I went to work at a technology company, like a software company that sold software to banks. So it was like the same audience, but I was working at a software company now instead of working at a bank, which was a really nice like transition out, I guess. Because then I was able to like have on my resume, oh, now I have experience with SaaS sales, SaaS being software as a service. And so then I felt like I was able to go get another like software sales job that was completely outside of banking. So that was kind of like the step out for me. Um, so then I did that. So the next job I had in software sales was at a company called TriNet, which is totally different, selling HR services to startups. It's like HR in a box.
Mhm.
Um, and I was responsible for venture capital and private equity channel sales. So basically,
So
like
selling HR stuff to venture capital people.
I'd build relationships with the VCs. They may or may not become my client, but the ultimate goal was that like if I built a relationship with them, then they would introduce me to all of their investments, like
What
all
is
the startups they were invested in.
so like so when you say building relationships, is it like calling them up and being like, let's get lunch? I mean, they're not buying anything from you actively at that time. You're just like staying on their radar.
They're like a channel or a conduit to sales, right? So like venture capital is invested in multiple businesses, like they've invested money in multiple startups. So if you build a relationship with them and they like you, then they'll introduce you to all the startups in their network kind of thing.
But what does building the relationship look like? Is it like lunches?
Yeah, I mean, it was a lot of like coffees, lunches, adding value, like finding ways to add value and like build rapport with them and kind of sell them on how I could add value to the companies they were invested in so that they would, broker those introductions. Um, and I did really well at that and I actually loved it. But then the company made some changes that made it challenging to sell, is like the short answer.
Mhm.
And then I got recruited by a venture capital firm that I was selling to. Like once I told them I was looking for a job, they were like, "Why don't you come here?" And at first I was like, "What do you want with me?" I'm like, I worked in banking. I mean, I worked in finance, but it was a very different part of finance. And then now I've been a salesperson for 5 years. So like what, I don't get it. And they were like, "Well, venture capital is all sales." And I was like, "Okay." And the more I learned, and then when I took the job, it absolutely was. Um,
What does that mean? Like how is venture capital sales?
so it's the venture capital firms themselves are kind of fighting for in a good market. Right now, it's a weird market with this economy, but like in a good market, they're fighting to get into these startups. So like the startup themselves might be raising $5 million or something. They're only going to have so many investors that they can let take a piece of that $5 million pie. And so for the really promising startups, like the next Facebooks or Twitters or whatever, investors are kind of like having to sell themselves to get the founder to take their money, which sounds kind of
Really?
interesting, right? And yeah, it depends on what kind of market we're in. Like right now, the founders, the the money is not flowing as easily, and so now the tides have shifted a bit, and I think the founders are fighting a bit harder for the VC's money, but just kind of depends what market dynamics we're in.
I mean, I don't know if you necessarily want to take this into a venture capitalism for dummies. But it's like one of those things that gets like bandied about roundabout. You hear a lot about like venture capitals or like venture capital companies investing in things or like a company that got their funding and then they fell apart and and I don't thoroughly like, I guess I don't traffic in the world of I mean, I'm, like a woman that is a DJ, I don't know. So I don't really understand how these things go, but I feel like that the venture capital of the whole thing has really changed the way, like, the whole economy works in general. It's almost like a I I don't know if this isn't the right word, I'm sure, but I don't know I can't it's almost like a shadow banking industry, so to speak.
It's called like the true name for the asset class is called private equity because that's what it is, right? Like we have public equity, which is stocks, which are like traded on an exchange and it's anyone can buy it and sell it. Private equity, which venture capital is a type, um, is exactly that. To your point, like kind of in the shadows, right? Like those deals don't happen with transparency generally, or like they're regulated, but I
But
don't know.
not
Not the
but not
same
as
way
much, yeah.
public. Yeah.
So, like, if a so it's interesting, I didn't know that they were, like, jockeying to try to get into, like, you
The
know
good deals.
so it'd be like, fake Facebook, new Facebook, back of the head book or whatever. So so they're like, "Hi, we have this product that we think," and these companies, how long have they been around before they start asking people for $5 million?
That really depends. Every company takes like a different path. Like sometimes there's like not to overcomplicate it, but like
Yeah.
sometimes really early stage companies that are like pre-product, pre-revenue, they're like, I just have an idea. They might start by raising like friends and family money, which is literally quite literally like your friends and family giving you money, but in exchange for that you giving them some equity. And then usually they'll go out for like angel investors. So like high net worth and individuals that invest in companies, but just like as a person. And then usually once there's a real product, like a minimum viable product, and then there's maybe some revenue, maybe not, then they'll go to venture capital. And that's called like institutional funding.
So the reason why they go to venture capital is because of, like, a traditional bank wouldn't give them the loan?
100%. Yeah. Cause they don't have any, a lot of times. any customers or maybe
Sure.
even a
Or
product.
collateral or whatever.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
then when they go to the venture capital money, is it a thing where the venture capitalist is like, I'm going to give you money, and if it falls apart, do they owe the venture capitalist money back? Like, is it like a
No, it's like
loan?
no, it's they're taking equity. So like they're giving you 5 million for 5% in your company or something. So like if your company goes to zero, then their 5% of your company is worth nothing. If your company goes to $100 million valuation, now it's worth something.
And if it
And
falls, sorry.
oh no, you're fine. I was gonna say, and like they know that only I think it's something like 20% of the companies they invest in are going to succeed. So like it's a known thing that like some of their bets aren't going to make it, but the goal is that they make enough good bets that it makes up for all the losses.
So but what? So those the other 80% though, like, are they? Do they just go bankrupt and die and disappear and they never talk to them again, or is there like a rehabilitation period to try to like get them so they're not? I mean, because I feel like if I got $5 million in the first years of starting my company, like I don't know how I'd spend it. I'd figure it out. I promise you I'd figure it out. But it almost like gives you like this artificial ability to grow without really knowing what you're doing. So are the venture capitalists giving them like advice, or is it just straight up money and hoping for the best?
No, I mean, in most cases, well, I guess I shouldn't say most. Sometimes these are seasoned entrepreneurs that have done this many times. And
Mhm.
so, like, they're going out for money again. They already have, they've already built and sold a Facebook and now they're doing something again. Sometimes it's first time founders. And then the venture capitalists in theory should be acting as business advisors, and helping them and pointing them in the right direction. Or even if they're not giving them the advice directly, like pointing them to people like me or
Mhm.
other like
Mm.
ecosystem partners, like, oh, Jessica's really good at this thing, talk to her and work with her on this or whatever. Um, but I wouldn't say they all go bankrupt. That definitely does happen. And it happened more last year than it has in a while because of the economy.
Mhm.
Um, but I think what happens maybe more often is that they just end up exiting, which is like what it's called, meaning selling the company to maybe for not like the greatest terms, right? Like
Mhm.
maybe they're like, oh crap, we're going to basically run out of money and go under, or we can sell what we do have, like the intellectual property, the patents, the whatever we have, well, whatever
Mhm.
we do have to like I don't know, whoever would buy it, like a
Like a
Google. I mean,
Mhm.
I don't know if
Yeah,
Google would
yeah.
buy, you know what I mean? Like a
But like,
bigger company would buy it for a really low cost.
does it mess up their credit? Like, does it wind up falling into the ecosystem of like credit ratings and things like that?
Um, I mean, it's, I'm probably not the best person to ask. It's probably like more of like a legal question, and it probably depends each company's like legal
Sure.
structure and all that. But like for example, my company's an S corp, so the company has a separate like credit history from me, but I am the owner, and so my credit history
Yeah.
impacts.
Well, my question, I guess, is like, is the venture capital's firm like reporting you to like Experian or whatever? Like, are you like if
Oh, no, because, like, again, they're an owner, right?
got it,
Like, they're basically like a co-owner with you. So you don't if the business is worth nothing, their ownership is worth nothing. Like, you don't owe them,
got it.
if you know what I'm
They're
saying.
just
But, like, if
taking.
you sell the company, then they are owed their percentage ownership of payout, you know?
Okay, thank you for explaining all that to me. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I just
No,
feel
no, no,
like
you're
you're
fine.
because I know you went into this, and I want, and I'm sure other people who are listening are like, I don't understand what this even means. So I was very curious about it because I don't understand it either. So thank you. So
No,
okay,
it's a good question because to your point, I think a lot of people don't understand it, and then you feel like embarrassed asking. So I'm glad you're asking because
mhm.
maybe people will then know without feeling embarrassed.
So I guess, yeah, except I guess to take this, so could a company like mine, just like,
Yeah.
I've got 3 full-time employees and then 20 DJs that work for me as employees. Like, is there like venture capital that like invests in like dinky people like me? Or is it all just like you have to have a software and go for it or whatever?
Yeah, I mean, in general, no, they wouldn't. They invest in high margin, highly scalable businesses. And so, like you and I, even my business, right? Like I run a services business. My margins are therefore like 40% at best. Like they're looking for software where the margins are 90%. You know, like,
okay. I also
yeah.
would like have a 90% margin. So when did you start getting, so you started your own venture capital firm, right?
No. So
Okay.
no, I don't, I angel invest like as an individual, just because, because I enjoy investing and I kind of know what I'm doing. But I don't do it my professional work is providing services to venture capital invested in companies. So like a startup that's received venture capital, they then have a lot of pressure to grow and scale very quickly because they now have all this money. And so the VC's like, go, 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 like make money fast. So I come in and help them make money.
So, okay, that's amazing. So, okay, so on the when you say you angel invest, do you angel invest in these companies as well, or are you taking it to like what do you angel? What do you personally want to put your money into? If you can say that, if you can
Oh
tell us.
yeah, no, I don't mind. I have invested in one of my clients. Otherwise, my investments have just been in other businesses that I believe in. Um, for me personally, I think most angel investors would probably say this. You usually invest in areas where you already have personal knowledge and right, like so the businesses I've invested in, like I personally understand the value prop or like it solves a problem I've had in one of my former roles or something. So like I really I guess understand and believe in what they're building. I wouldn't invest in, for example, like a biotech company
Sure.
just because like I have no idea how to determine if that's going to be successful.
Hmm.
Um, and then when you're angel investing, the companies are really early. Like there's not a lot of like traction yet. So I think you have to really believe in the founder as as an individual and as a leader, like believe in their potential and their ability to make it something, even if what it ends up looking like is very different what you're looking at
Hmm.
right now. So sometimes people say like you're betting on the jockey, not the horse. Um,
Mm.
so that's very much true.
But are you doing this in like $5 million people? Are you doing it for like small? I mean, what's your
Oh, my
financial
checks
squeeze?
are like as small as 1,000 and as big as 10,000.
Okay, so
So
like
like,
they're smaller
yeah.
companies that you're doing this for, and like okay, so all
Well,
right,
I'm a
so
small check. They're
yeah,
raising like 2 million, but I'm just 10 grand maybe of that 2 million.
I once was looking into investing into a friend of mine who had a restaurant, and they were like, "You have like," I was like, "I'll invest. I've got some money," and they're like, "Minimum investment is $75,000," and I'm like, "You wouldn't take my money at 10?" Like it was weird. It was like they only wanted people that could invest at a certain higher level and up, and I mean, I'm sure that's because they don't want so many people having a tiny little piece of their pie.
It's because of operations. Like it's a lot to manage, right? Because then if you have to do like if you think about it, like if they sell the company, well then they have to do paperwork with each one of these shareholders and distribute cash to each of you. Um, it's like an admin nightmare. So when they do take like the startups that have taken my smaller checks, to your point, they do that because they see value in what I bring to being part of the company beyond my money. It's not that like my 10 grand is like, woo,
Mhm,
but like if Jessica has a network that can be valuable to them or a skill set that can be valuable to them, then it's like my 10 grand is just 10 grand, but it's like having Jessica have equity in your company makes Jessica care. And so then Jessica will give you these other things that are good.
mhm. Rolodex, like,
Yeah.
you're okay, cool. Okay, so how did you do that? How did you get to the point where you could do that? How do you have $10,000 to invest in things?
Well, I guess this comes kind of back to like being raised by two accountants. So I've been taught from a very early age, like to be fiscally responsible. And I've been saving money. I mean, I'm 36, about to be 37, which is kind of wild. Time flies.
Time is a
Um,
harsh mistress.
yeah, it's just like, wow. Um, but so I've been saving for a lot of years and I've saved up enough money. And then I honestly only started doing it once I worked at the VC as far as angel investing is
Mhm,
concerned. Because it was like, then I understood how to evaluate companies and how to think about it. And I had relationships that got me into these situations. So I would say, like, um, for me, that's when it happened. But I do think more people could get involved if you want to. Like, actually, for example, in Chicago, there's a group called Vitalize Angels, and there's several of these groups, but that's just one that I'm familiar with, where you can join their group, and it's like $100 a quarter or something. It's not super expensive, but they provide training and education and like knowledge sharing on a regular basis about like how to evaluate angel investments. And then they also shortlist a number of companies and present them to the group so that like you can, especially if you're new, you can make those first few bets in a more, I don't know, safe way, right? Because you have like these experts that are kind of pre-vetting the deals that they're showing to you. So I think if someone is interested in getting going in angel investing, I would say like find an angel syndicate like that where you can learn and build your network and knowledge and all of that. And then you probably get comfortable enough to like do some of that on your own.
And that $100 that or whatever to buy in, is that just to like for you to be in it and then whatever you'd invest would be on top of that?
Right, correct. The $100 is like to cover their operating costs, basically.
Okay, so is that how you got into so you were raised by accountants, so you're at the point where so your thing that you do, what is it now that you have? Now that you've left the world of banking and no longer work for venture capital or HR software, like where are you at now with your
Yeah.
professional life?
So I founded my company, Amplify Group. Actually, it's almost 2 years to the mark. February 8th is my anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So 2 years ago. And really, I mean, when I tell people about starting that company, it was like push and pull. So my mom is a entrepreneur. She started her own company when she was 25, which was 40 years ago. So I always say like thinking about being a 25-year-old starting a business right now is kind of crazy, but then to be like 25-year-old 40 years ago, I'm like, I mean, just
Without the
props.
internet, like
Yeah, without the internet, as a woman, like
Yeah.
all the things, I'm just like, so I've had a really great role model, but I think because I've been raised by an entrepreneur my whole life, I think I knew that was a path for me someday. I just didn't know what my entrepreneur would be like. And I got to a point where I felt like I was very sick of working for men. I was very sick of working for other people. And I just didn't feel like personally at that moment, if I would have gone and worked at another venture capital fund or another software company, I was just like, I feel like I'm just going to see more of the same. And so I really felt like I just wanted to create something new that was a culture I wanted and something that I don't know. So it was like that. Anyway, I say that's why it's like a push and pull.
You want to be the change that you want to see. Like if the thing you want to do
Yes.
doesn't exist, then you have to make it.
Yes.
And if
Actually, that was a great way to put it.
And like there's a lot of, I mean, I would imagine the majority of these kinds of places are male owned and dominated and have the traditional male culture of what work looks like and what, your own personal blood, sweat, and tears is supposed to look like without any kind of like comfort or happiness around it. It's all just rise and grind. And it's like, I don't know if I necessarily want to be rising and grinding all the time.
That and like, I'm very outspoken and I'm not afraid to challenge things. And I think I'm a really big fan of Adam Grant, and he talks about like the power of dissent in the workplace, but not like disagreeing just to disagree and be like annoying, but like diversity of thought and like challenging things, and like that's how you get to better ideas, and like that's what ultimately like fuels growth is challenging the status quo, not just doing the same thing over and over again. And I was always like a very vocal person within organizations. And that didn't always serve me as a woman, questioning them.
Yeah. You're not allowed to have opinions. And if you have an opinion, it's like the Taylor Swift, like women, like, like men react, women overreact. Like any reaction you have is big and, loaded and doesn't mean what it really means, and it's got coded bullshit behind it. And I understand.
Yeah.
So when you started your own company, what was the line in the sand for you? Like what's your I mean, I guess like your mission statement or your core values, or like what was the thing that made it you're like, I need to make this thing?
Yeah, for me it was like, okay, I don't want to go work for anyone else anymore. I want to work on my own. What is my monetizable skill? Like what is that I bring the world? And like, I believe I have this very unique background since I did work in finance and banking, and but I also worked in sales, and like I've worked in HR. Like I've had like all these different experiences that ultimately give me like a very unique viewpoint, I think, on growth in general. But I'm also like very operationally inclined. Like I love process and
Hmm.
procedure, and like I love technology. And I working at the VC made me realize that a lot of startups really struggle with go to market. Like a lot
Hmm.
of founders of these software companies are very technical, and they have a vision for what the product is going to look like and the problems that the product's going to solve, but they don't always know how to tell that story and to amplify that message, and to then, which they need to do in order to make revenue, right? And to survive. And so I just felt like I had a unique background that made me like gave me a skill set that would really solve for that need. And when I did some research, there really wasn't many people serving this end of the market. There's a lot of consultants out there, sales and marketing consultants serving like the middle market or the enterprise. But there's not a lot of people serving this like early stage startup market. So I saw a really big market opportunity. Now that I'm doing it, I think I know why, because it's really hard.
Hmm.
Like, and they
What
don't
are
have big budgets. So, you can only charge so much, but I absolutely love what I do.
so? Okay, so so I mean, to go back to like, it's a tech guy that's super technical and doesn't really.
Yeah.
Are you mostly working like? Is it like? Are you just working with anybody who will work with you, or is there a specific? Are you like women focused, or are you like just I'll take whatever I believe in when I see the company?
I mean, it has to be a good person that I think
Yeah,
that is like coachable,
yeah.
and it has to be a good business that I think I can
Hmm.
help and I understand. So I do have male and female founder clients, but I'd love
So
to work with more women.
sure. I mean, and that's the thing is I don't think a lot of women even think that something like this is available to them. Like,
Yeah.
and so, because it seems like there's a lot of they don't know what kind of strings are attached or like, and then I think a lot of women undervalue even what they can provide in the end game as well. And it's like, when I started my company because I was like a good DJ and I wanted to make money that way. I didn't know anything about business. I didn't know anything about anything. Like, and I just was like, I'm just going to do this thing. And then you get like 8 months into it and you're like, I don't know how to reconcile my books. I don't know even what reconciliation is. And so it's like on these early stages of these companies where it's like a tech guy and he's like, I want to make a thing. I don't think no one realizes the iceberg that's underneath it's like all businesses are
If
the
they
same
did,
on,
we probably wouldn't do it. So it's like kind of like the naivety is good,
yeah.
I think.
Well, and it's, if I had, it's like, it's really, you want to hope that they understand the value of what they're getting by, getting the money in the first place and getting people like you that have interest in it. Like, I mean, that would be a boon and amazing for any, like, for the businesses that didn't have that. We should be saying, like, dude, like, listen to this person, take this advice because most people don't get this. And so it's like the gratitude practice around venture capital, you know?
Oh, yes. Actually, one of my good female friends who's a business owner too, she always says, venture capital is not a right, it's earned. And it's so true, right? Like, I mean, it's really hard to get that money. And to your point, if you do get it, it's to be celebrated and to be like grateful, and hopefully you're doing the right thing with that money.
Well, and they're bypassing so many hurdles that they have to get on their own, like, making your software, turning enough profit to hire a second person, to then to hire an HR company. It's
Hmm.
like, there's usually the steps are much more glacial,
Yes,
so like to get this kind of leg up like so early, it's like, a gift. I think it could also be a curse if you like don't know what
I
you're
agree.
doing and you don't know how to like act, how to use those things. So then they need someone like you to like be to be like I don't know, like I wanna use the word mom, but the like, the like,
Yeah,
the
check
boss.
and balance.
Yeah, almost like their boss. So, like almost I don't know,
Yeah,
we
I'm
all
like
want
a confidant. Yeah, I feel like a confidant and an advisor, like a trusted advisor to my clients.
so you start this
Um,
ca so the firm you have right now, you are helping people use their money effectively.
helping them use their money to make money. Because I'm sure you know this too, right? But like this sales and marketing, there's so many different ways to even market. are you going to invest in SEO? Are you going to do paid ads? Are you going to do social media? Like, what are you going to do? And then your sales process, like depending on, even like the contract size. Like if you're selling $1,000 widget, your sales process is going to look different than if you're selling $1 million contract or something. So all of those like devils in the details is what most startups don't know. And so I help them figure out, okay, based on your product, your target audience, the people that buy your product, like, is that a CFO that buys your product, a CTO that buys your product, whatever it is? These are the marketing tactics that are going to be most successful based on data. And then specifically, I think what makes me different is I help them do it. I think a lot of consultants are just like, you need to do SEO. And it's like, okay, great. How do you do SEO?
Yeah. You're both giving them and teaching them how to fish.
Correct. And like my whole goal is it is to be deleted, meaning like I'm not like I have a new little tagline I've been saying, which seems to be resonating, which I'm like, I'm a bridge, not a barnacle. Like I'm not around to be like attached to your business for the next 10 years. That's not good for you. And honestly, it's not very fun for me. I like, like, if I do my job well, I come in for 6 to 9 months, teach you how to fish, build the infrastructure, help you build the team, and then I'm out. Because like in 6 to 9 months, in theory, if we've done everything right, you're autonomous now. Like you have the infrastructure, you know what to do, you just have to rinse and repeat and do it.
And what do you get out of it? Like, how do they pay you? How do you get paid in that situation? Out of their venture capital money?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, yeah. But then you're also like, to get out, like, is it a thing where like they're paying you a retainer and then do you get like a chunk of money on your way out, or is it just the retainer and then you're out?
Yeah, right now it's just like cash, and it's fixed monthly fee, and I base that on what I'm doing for them because each client's a little different. But to your point, I have thought about like how do I create a scenario where I can have more upside myself? But I haven't like fully fleshed that out. So I think in time, what I hope will happen is that I get cash while I'm working for them, but then I get a small piece of equity.
Yeah.
Like maybe they give me 1% or something. And then that's how I'm like benefiting long term from there.
And when you say like 1% equity, is it a thing where like you just get like mailbox money? Like you just get like, I don't totally understand what equity means. And so I'm bad at money. I mean, I'm not really bad at money. But I'm good at cash.
Obviously, you figured it out because
I mean, I'm
business. Yeah,
I do. I'm actually very good with money, but I'm not good at like anything above like money in, money out. Like I'm not good at like understanding equity. And so like when you have equity in a company, are they paying you money every month, or is it just like if they sell, you will get money?
Yeah, it really depends on the corporate structure and all like many things. But in some cases, an equity just means ownership. So if they give me 1% equity, that means like I have 1% ownership in that company. And so sometimes that might be like they do quarterly dividends. So like each quarter they might calculate, okay, we have, I don't know, 10 million in
Profit or
like profit after all expenses
like net
or something.
Okay. All right.
Correct. And so then they might be like, okay, now we're going to do a distribution to all of our shareholders. Everybody gets, a little goodie bag. Kind of, I'm making it super simple.
But if they did make $10 million in a quarter and you got 1% equity, would you get like a check for $100,000?
There's more that goes into it, but yes,
sure.
but you would get a check. But with startups, you don't really want them to send you a dividend check, right? Because you want
it reinvested.
We're hoping, we want them to just reinvest that in the business and keep growing, so that eventually when we get a check when they sell, it's like the biggest it can be, kind of thing. So whereas like if you owned a small piece of, I don't know, a dry cleaner, then you might want to get dividends because it's like, well, it's just a dry cleaner. It's just gonna. There's not plans for it to be $100 million company.
Well, but like my husband has like stock in, I think AT&T or something, and like he gets a dividend every quarter, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Like I didn't know that was how that worked. Okay, so you have started this company 2 years ago, and how's it going?
Honestly, I mean, really good. I think all business owners, and probably women, well, I've heard women are the worst at this too. Like, I think we don't celebrate our success enough. So sometimes I'm like, I tend to look at things, and this is like an active practice I'm trying to get better at. But I tend to look at things and I'm like, yeah, I mean, it's good, but like I could have done better, or I did
Mhm.
this wrong. And it's like, I'm trying to remember, like, no, it's pretty fucking cool that
Yeah.
like you've only been in business 2 years and it's profitable and you have happy clients and you have good reviews and you have good case studies, and all while the economy sucks.
Mhm.
So I'm trying to take that
Wait,
in.
can I push back on something? First of all,
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, that is amazing. Like, that is not the norm. But also, does the economy suck? I feel like everything says the economy sucks, but I look at the actual economy and it's like unemployment's down. The Nasdaq's the highest it's ever been. Like, I mean, I don't know what that means when you say that, and I can't tell if it's like marketing on from people who don't benefit from the public from the economy doing well, like, Republicans that don't want but Biden to have
Yeah.
a win or whatever. Like,
Oh, fair. That's like a whole nother thing. Um, so I think it depends, obviously, like what sector you're in. Like, for example, during COVID, right? Like a lot of in-person businesses clearly struggled. Whereas, like, if you were an investor in toilet paper, you did swimmingly, right? Or if you were like Zoom, then everyone started buying your software. So I think anytime the economy sucks, there's still some people doing well.
mhm,
But when I say that, I get, and maybe I'm speaking like more directly to like the world I'm living in, but when the world of within tech and venture funding, so like the money that they doled out to startups is at an all-time low. I think it's like at a 10-year low. So like they invested way less money last year than they have before. A lot of the startups that received money um, had a hard time selling last year. And this is also something I know to be true just because, like, there's groups that put out statistics for sales reps and, like, how many sales reps are hitting quota or whatever. And I think it was something like only 40% of sales reps nationwide last year made quota. Like, that's pretty bad.
does that have
And it's
anything to
not,
do with the interest rates being high?
I think there's just a lot of things. I think that's one of the factors. But I think also we saw those layoffs, right? Like there's been a lot of and again, like you said, unemployment's still low. So it's like, I don't really understand that either. Cause then we see like big companies like Facebook let go of millions of
Yeah,
people. Like, I don't know, like there was just huge layoffs. So I kind of don't understand some of that reporting, but um I think when people started watching that happen, then everybody went into like cash conserve mode, right? Like, I don't know what's going on, so I'm just going to hang on to my cash. And so they were less likely to purchase things or make changes. Um, and so then that's when we saw sales slow. And I don't know, I still feel
yeah.
like we're kind of in that, like, I mean, I'm even in that mode now myself with my own business. I'm like, okay, I don't really know what's going to happen right now. Like, there's less money going into these startups. They have less money to spend. That's how I make
Yeah.
money is so it's kind of like scary.
So one of the things when I started my company was that I disappeared from my life for 2 years, 2, 3 years before I was able to, like, actually see other people. Like, do you have a life outside of your company? What is your life outside of your company?
So it's a good question. Last year I really didn't. And at the end of the year, I had like my own, I'm calling it my hard reset. I forget who said that to me. They're like, it sounds like you're doing a hard reset. I was like, yeah, that is what I'm doing. um, but yeah, I think I got to the end of the year and I was just like, I've been grinding so hard this whole year. And like, I went out on my own to have more flexibility and more control. And I'm the only one to blame for the fact that that is not existing.
Well, no, you're not the only one to blame for that because that's what you have to do,
Well,
like,
yes.
in order to have a successful business is, like, especially if it's just you. Do you have anybody working for you?
I have right now I just have a couple contractors, but last year I had W-2s and right now I had to like just or I guess I didn't have to. I chose to cut that so that I could focus on resetting because I was just like I feel like I'm going so fast and some things are not working
Mhm,
and I can't really figure it out while burning all this cash. So I was
mhm.
just like I just got to um
Yeah,
reduce the overhead, reset, and then like maybe I'll try to grow again. Honestly, maybe this is a solopreneur business forever. I don't know. Like those are questions I'm asking myself right now, but I do know even when I'm a solopreneur, I'm making a good income and I really enjoy my work. And so for me, I'm just trying to focus on like, do the things that give you joy. Like you don't need to be a 30-person consultancy to like, for what?
Mhm.
If that doesn't
Well,
make me
and
happy, like why?
yeah, I remember when, it's like there's so many phases of entrepreneurship. Like, when when I started my company and everything was working, I'm like, wow, why is this working? Like, this is working really well. Like, I kept waiting for the other shoe to drop, and then I started bringing on more DJs and more DJs, and I realized we were doing like 2, 3, 4 times more events than the year before, but my income was the same, and I'm like,
Yep.
how come I'm my gross is insane, but I have nothing really at the not nothing, but like
That's
not.
exactly me last year.
And so as a finance person, how do you think one gets around that? Or do they? I
I
mean, I got out
mean,
of it eventually, but like, but
good.
I mean, you are early on and you're not doing that, which which it seems like what is these advice to somebody who is growing their company and it seems like it's growing and they're not making any money?
Yeah, I mean, to your point, that's exactly what happened to me last year. Like top line, we did great. Bottom line to me, I actually made less than I made the year before. So I was like, this is not efficient. And if I could have seen a light at the end of the tunnel of the the cash efficiency, I think I would have just like stayed the course, but I couldn't really see the light at least for the next 3 to 6 months. And I was like, I can't like rationalize this anymore, like the expense. Um, for my particular business, it is any building any agency, like there's a bunch of articles and studies done on this. It's really hard because like I always say like people are not software, right? Like when you buy, Amazon web services or you buy Google, you know exactly what you're getting and it's like hard coded to do a thing. When you buy people, it's unpredictable. Like even when you do your best to vet them and their qualifications and whatever, like it's still unpredictable and we all have like good days and bad days and whatever. So I think it's just harder to scale people heavy businesses, period.
Mhm.
Um, and then on top of that, I'm a startup, my company, right? Like we're still new and like it's been evolving and growing at a rapid pace, but then so are all my clients. So it makes for, I think, an extra chaotic
Mhm.
environment to scale too, right? Because like then the people that were newly working for me, like no one was bad. It was just like you're newly working for me trying to figure out what Jessica wants and what Amplify is at the same time that like we have 5 chaotic clients that are trying to figure out who they are.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of context
Mhm.
switching, right? Because like one minute I'm working with a startup that sells debt financing software, and the next minute I'm working with a healthcare startup selling to cardiologists. It's like that's a big
Yeah.
context,
Mhm.
And like it's okay for me because I don't know. But I understand how that's like a really hard thing for a new hire to come in and like immediately excel at. And then also because I'm selling to startups, there's like a cap on what I can charge them and make like and still make it affordable for them because these are not companies with millions of dollars. Like, a lot of that money that they've gotten needs to go to engineering resources and like
Mhm.
other things. So it's like the talent that I needed to staff my business anyway, they wanted a lot of money. And I was like, but I can't really charge these startups that much money. So I'm kind of like in this.
Like, do you take a hit on making money to have these people there because they're gonna eventually make it easier for me to make money, but I also don't like, did somebody find like, are you self-financed?
Yes.
So you didn't take any angel money or see, that's great. So that's it's all
Yeah,
your own. It's all you.
it is.
Which is both good, and then it's like my mistakes are also my mistake. Like I
Correct.
own my successes, I own my not successes.
Yep.
Um, and so you dodged the question about a life outside of your business. So
Oh,
do you
so that
have
is
no
my
life?
now. Well, last year I really didn't, to be honest. Like I was just grinding, and again, like I almost burnt myself out, and I was like, "What am I doing?" Um, so that was my hard reset. So this year, which we're only 2 weeks into, I'm very focused on like finding that balance again, and and prioritizing my personal life. So my plan is for at least the next 6 months to stay a solopreneur and just kind of find balance and like recharge, refill my bank account, refill my
Cup.
energy account, and then maybe try again.
You said
You know,
before we got
so
on the air, you said that you had sold your condo and you were living in
yeah.
Miami. So you just don't have a place to live right now.
Well, I do. I like did a long-term, or like not long-term, whatever. I'm living in a fully furnished 4-month rental here.
Ooh.
Yeah. So it's like I have home. And
At
it's
least
nice.
so like after the end of 4 months, would you like go to Belgium or something? Or like what would be like is the plan to stay in Miami post 4 months, or do you want to like bounce around for a while and kind of see how it goes?
Yeah, so my plan's to try before I buy. So I think I might go to Nashville after that. Um, but yeah, I want to try like several cities for 3 or 4 months to kind of get a feel for like what it would be like to live there and see if I like it. And then with the goal being that like at some point I think I'll be like, this feels like home, like this feels like right. And then I'd make it more permanent.
My friend Meg McKean, who I've also had the podcast, she's actually
Hmm.
she actually is like she doesn't have a lease anywhere, and she just goes around the country and sometimes the world, and I'm like, I just would love that. I would love that. Like, it
So
sounds
far, it feels
amazing.
very freeing. Yeah. I mean, I'm new, but like yeah,
Like,
I feel happier.
where's all your stuff?
So I sold all my furniture, including my condo, and I just took like some personal effects to my mom's house in Naples, and that's my storage unit.
Okay. That's awesome. That
Yeah.
sounds so amazing. I look at my house with all the shit in it, and I'm like, I mean, I like it here, but I have to stay here forever now. Like, there's
Yeah.
just too much shit. Um, and, I don't know where I was going with that. Anyway, so you do have a life. You are trying to get a life. You are in Miami where there's a lot of
Yes.
things going on. Do you have
It's beautiful.
do you know people there?
A handful. So one of my good friends is actually doing the same digital nomad thing, and so we're here together for like 2 months. And then she's going to Japan, which is really cool. Um, and I know a handful of other people here, but I'm pretty outgoing, so
Not a
I don't
not a
know.
problem.
Yeah.
You'll find your tribe. Is the person living with you? Are you guys living
Yes.
together? Oh, so
Hmm.
you have like a roommate now.
Yeah, which is kind of fun. I know we were saying last night. I mean, it's only been a week, but we were like, "This is actually going really well," and neither of us have had a roommate in like God
Yeah.
knows. It's been
I
like 10 years
mean,
for me.
and like the Florida of the whole thing is very Golden Girls. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
what if you like, I mean, I don't know. Sounds kind of awesome to live with a bunch of women in Florida. Like,
Have you
it's
seen
warm.
that's becoming like a thing? Like not
Yeah.
necessarily Florida, but like 5 women buy a house and live there with their dogs, and I'm like, "I fucking love this."
Yes, my friend
It's
Jessica,
amazing.
another friend of mine, Jessica, we talk about the mommune that we're gonna make, where we're like, I mean, heaven forbid anything happens to our partners, but it'd be kind of nice to just be with a bunch of women. Like, I'm making dinner tonight, you're making dinner tomorrow night. Here's my kid. I'm disappearing for a while. Mommune.
Yeah, here for
Um,
it.
so you said you have some kind of like a thing starting up in February. What is the thing
Oh,
you're
yeah.
starting up in February?
So, working with me one-on-one is amazing, but also a little expensive for some people. And I wanted to be able to serve a broader audience, like with like teaching more founders like the basics of go to market and how to get going and how to get started on a budget. So I launched a boot camp. So it's like a go to market boot camp for startups. I did the first one in September and it went super well. Got great feedback. And so I'm doing the second one in February. So I think I already gave you guys the link maybe, but
Yeah.
yeah, I'd encourage anyone, I mean, anyone that's like go to market curious even, like it's meant for startups because we're going to cover like all the fundamentals and how to get started. But I guess like really anyone that wants to learn more about that could join and get value out of it. But
Well, I
yeah,
mean, but who is your target? Who would be in this? Would it be like a business like mine, or is it people that are like, I'm starting a software?
I mean, most of the advice is for like if you're a software company. But I think maybe you could like still get value out of it. It's just like how to get going with sales and marketing on a budget, basically. But a
Oh,
lot of things I talk about, I think are applicable whether you're a software company or not. But like my main target audience is software companies.
Amazing. Awesome. Well, and so
If you
I
want
will
to
have,
come for free, I just let you
oh,
if you want to.
really? You
Yeah.
don't say. Is it a one day thing or is it like a series of lessons?
It's 5 days and it's roughly like 90 minutes to 120 minutes a day. And I break them up so it's not like straight through. Um, and there's a topic each day. So the first day is like literally fundamentals. So I talk about like defining your ICP, your ideal
What's that?
customer profile,
Okay.
ideal customer profile, um, and like positioning. So like how you're going to sell whatever it is you're selling to that audience. And then we also talk about branding. And then on day 2, it's all about marketing and PR. So like the basics of like what is marketing. So we talk about social media, content, SEO, the fact that your website's your 24/7 salesperson. So we kind of go over like all the marketing and PR basics. And then day 3 is outbound and nearbound, which is like cold outbound sales. If you're doing, which a lot of B2B companies or business to business companies do outbound. So I talk about how to architect that and how to launch outbound motions. And then nearbound is just like the new sexy term for partnerships, but like how do you create strategic partnerships that generate referrals for your business? And then day 4 is revenue operations. So how do you build scalable internal processes for marketing and sales? And how do you like what metrics should you be tracking? And then what are good metrics? Like, if you're running an email marketing campaign, like what open rate, what click rate should you be looking for?
This is like basic stuff that I think any business that's having problems. I mean, I don't like, is it, is it agnostic? Like, is it kind of business agnostic or is it geared towards software sales?
I mean, a lot of the things I definitely
business.
talk in there about like, the fact that you're venture backed. And so they're going to be expecting XYZ. But you're right. Like a lot of the things are agnostic. I would say it's definitely not built for consumer businesses. Like if you're selling to consumers, I don't talk about that. I'm talking just to business owners that sell to other businesses.
I mean, that sounds amazing. I mean,
yeah.
Maybe you should think about making one that is business agnostic and doing it for generalized people because that would be a thing I think everyone can use. Or do I have to? Or do I need to start a software company in order to get this kind of? I'm like, what kind of software could I make? I can't do anything. I'm more analog. Well, this has been amazing. It's so nice to talk about these things and kind of learn things and then like understand these kind of complicated systems or like these buzzwords that are kind of said in the news. And it's like, because I do think that like a lot of women don't recognize see themselves in that, like see that that's an option or like, or that these things are available to them or that they should even put themselves mentally in the same place as somebody that's, at that level of this entry stage and how long it lasts or whatever. So, well, excellent. Well, thank you so much. And, good luck in February. Perhaps you'll see me for free. What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, come if you want. I'll send you all the details. And thank you so much for having me. This was super fun.
Thanks for listening to All Up in My Lady Business with me, Mary Nisi. We'd love for you to like, review, subscribe, follow us at All Up in My Lady Business on the gram. And if you're a female identifying person and you want to dance, you can follow. I mean, everybody can follow it. But if you want to be a part of the magic at Hot Flash Dance Party, sign up for the mailing list to find out where our next party is going to be. And if you are looking for a DJ in the Chicagoland area or anywhere else, money's the same color everywhere. Fly us out. ToastandJamDJs.com has the best. And listen to my radio show. I have a radio show on Chirp Radio at chirpradio.org. That's Mondays, every Monday from 12 until 3 p.m. CST. Today's episode is produced by Shiraz Dada. Theme song composed and performed by, you guessed it, Shiraz Dada. All right, guys. Peace out.